At a time when many people are struggling to see God and know His touch in their lives, I've had many people describe how dark and depressing the world is right now. Well, I'm exploring with you how we can find openings to God, opening moments. We've looked at how quieting anxiety and fear, releasing resentment, seeking forgiveness can open my life to God so that I can hear His words to me and even see Him in my world. And here's another opening moment. Sin no more. That's it. Easy, huh? Now, this comes from the direct words of Jesus to the paralyzed man He healed by the pool, as recorded in John 5. He said to the newly walking man, "See, you've been made well. Do not sin anymore so that nothing worse happens to you." Now, these words, which may sound abrupt and confronting, really are a light that can lead us away from suffocating darkness. As the message has it, don't return to a sinning life where something worse might happen. Jesus' words have the sense of warning us about living into a life that just creates more and more darkness. Now, let me make plain that I don't believe Jesus was instructing me to be careful to follow 1,000 scrupulous rules in my life in order to avoid problems. He was touching upon what leads me away from light, God's light, and into darkness. It's the basic way I shut myself off from God, summed up in the word sin. But again, not sin as numerous fussy rules. This is sin as something basic in me that ultimately will kill me. It's what C.S. Lewis calls in Mere Christianity, the complete anti-God state of mind. That's all. And it makes opening moments to God impossible. Again, from Mere Christianity, the natural life in each of us is something self-centered, something that wants to be petted and admired, to take advantage of other lives, to exploit the whole universe. This sin is really competitive with God, seeks to use anything and everything, even God Himself, and closes me off from the reality of God and opens me to the reality I create and I prefer. That's a lot wrapped up in one little word, sin. It may help to break it down a bit more into one other word that seems to be at the core of what sin is: pride, or maybe more specifically, arrogance. Psychologists will talk a lot about healthy pride in oneself in the sense of positive self-regard and optimism about one's life and work. But a distinction must be made from what we can call hubris, which goes beyond a positive self-confidence. I can become so focused in my life on obtaining what benefits me and on being recognized and praised by others that I can construct a version of me that plays to others for what I can get from them, but is essentially false. It's the too good to be true me, with which I hope to get what's too good for you. Yeah, there's the arrogance that becomes what psychologists call narcissism. The key problem with pride or arrogance and its hyperinflated offspring, narcissism, is that it involves self-deception as well as deception toward others. Briefly put, it involves lying to myself and lying to you. Essentially, I inflate myself into a caricature, like one of the characters floating along in the Macy's Thanksgiving parade. I keep inflating myself and assuring myself that this too-good-to-be-true character is really me. And I want to keep you believing it too. I actually can become deeply afraid that you would discover that the smug, self-satisfied me is not really me at all, and afraid even that I will realize it myself. So this becomes my consuming life's purpose: to keep the false me afloat and to keep the truth from you and even myself. Now, floating along in my own self-inflated existence is one thing, but I float into your world too. And that's where so much pain and destruction and even death follow. Notice how the Apostle James breaks it down. These conflicts and disputes among you, where do they come from? Do they not come from your cravings that are at war within you? You want something and do not have it, so you commit murder. And you covet something and cannot obtain it, and so you engage in disputes and conflicts. Eugene Peterson in The Message puts it succinctly. You want your own way and fight for it deep inside yourselves. You want what isn't yours and will risk violence to get your hands on it. You're spoiled children, each wanting your own way. Sin. Psychologists and theologians come together on this. All the vices and destructive relationship patterns come from this arrogant, superior me that I must keep afloat at any cost. Any kind of deflation in the course of life brings on intense shame, a sense of emptiness, followed by envy, unhinged desire, impulsive behavior, rage, and even violence. All manner of what we call sin starts here. And the gap between God and me, and between me and you, starts here. And the opening of my life to God starts here. I let His truth about my life penetrate my lies. And I give up floating the false me in my own little parade, give up using you and even God to keep myself afloat. In that fundamental core sense, I sin no more. I let Him, Jesus, the humble but truthful Messiah, be my everything. An open moment, an open life.